I'm playing. All right, everybody. This is Troy Vaughn, also known as Trey Amazing. This is Ringside. This is the first Ringside Corner Confessions coming at you live via StreamYard. But we're gonna do it up big. We got the amazing and epic Jazmine Crumbley, and we have an interesting show for you today. We're going to be talking about the music industry, and basically, it's our own version of love and can't say love in hip hop or love in R&B, but love in the music industry.
Sure.
So we're gonna do it like we're gonna start like that. So with that said, let's cue the music. Oh yeah, well, I'm always digging that music.
Hey.
Okay, so I had to go grab my hat. I'm gonna get comfortable. I'm gonna get loose because we're about to have a great interview. So check this out. So Jasmine Crumbley, you are a vocalist, you are a producer, arranger, and you are the CEO of the outlet for vocal expressions. Am I right?
That's right.
Okay, am I missing any accolades, any other titles or anything else?
Did you say vocal coach?
I did not say, okay, you are also a vocal coach
Yeah.
as well as an awesome singer, right?
Yeah, thank you. I appreciate that. Yeah, I try.
You try. How long have you been singing?
I don't remember not singing.
Okay.
Yeah.
So you just came out the womb singing.
I guess so. I literally is for as long as I can remember, I've always sang. So it's my life at this point.
Okay. Nice. So I remember being on your page. I don't remember exactly the shows or the movies, but you have some music credits in some shows or movies or something like that, right?
Just a few. Oh man. So my first television credit was on seasons 2 and 3 of Greenleaf on network. And it's so crazy. I tell people really quickly. I was sitting at home one day watching an episode of season 1.
Mm-hmm.
Sitting at home on my bed, and I said, "Man, I would like to work on this show, and I would like to work in the music." And
Mm-hmm.
literally, maybe a couple of weeks later, after I literally said it out of my mouth. And a couple of weeks later, I got a phone call saying, "Hey, what you doing for the next few months?" I said, "I'm there." So there was that. I worked on BET's Boomerang, the series.
I never caught that. Oh my gosh.
Yeah, I only did just like a few scenes in like an episode or something like that. I worked on a couple of songs for an episode.
Okay.
I just got my first movie credit, which was really cool,
Which movie?
as a vocal arranger. So Lifetime released Robin Roberts did a presentation of Mahalia Jackson, and so they
Oh,
did a
nice.
movie about her life. And
Okay.
so I was afforded the opportunity to both feature as a singer and an arranger
Mm.
for that movie and soundtrack. So that was really, really cool. That was also my first movie songwriting credit. So that was really cool. So yeah, I'm sure there are other shows, and then I do like award shows. I sing. I'm a background singer too. I don't know if we said that either.
Singing in the background?
Yeah. So I've been a professional background singer for 11 years now.
Okay.
And so I get to travel and tour and do that. So I do award shows sometimes and sing with different artists. So sometimes if you look behind the artist performing or something, you might see me there. So
So okay, I'll be on the lookout for you. Okay. Well, I think that's that's an excellent segue into what we're going to talk about. I mean, you mentioned singing backup and touring, and you've been in the music industry for a very long time. We both live here in Atlanta, and Atlanta is rife with music industry and the whole nine. But you mentioned touring, city to city with different artists. Something like that as an artist yourself, being in the music industry, how does one date or even maintain a healthy relationship if you are constantly moving. Because, of course, being in the music industry, sometimes you're not, just sitting in one spot,
Right.
for a long period of time. You have to move, from hotel to hotel, tour to tour. But what about your love life? What kind of effect does that have when you're trying to find, that certain someone?
Um, there are so many factors. There are so many factors that can affect love life, dating, marriage. There's so many different things. I guess I'll speak from my own perspective, but even from a few other people's perspectives, especially married people and things like that. It can be really difficult, especially if you are a touring
Hmm.
performer in any way, musician, singer, artist, whatever. So it can be really difficult. One, obviously, because of the time.
Hmm.
Now, I haven't done a lot of extended tours where I'm gone for like months upon months. Usually, I get to come home a lot between shows. The most I might be gone is for some weeks, but there are situations where you might tour from anywhere from 3 months to 2 years, and
Long tour.
so yeah, world tours and things like that. And so it's time can get a little bit tricky sometimes.
Hmm.
So that's an obvious factor, but there are several other factors that really come into play. One, when it comes to creative people, one thing that comes to mind is the fact that in general, a lot of us can be really sensitive. A lot of us can be really emotional creatures, men and women. Um,
Shit.
yeah, and that that's what feeds what
Hmm.
it is that we do. So a lot of us are naturally emotional. I don't consider myself a really emotional person. So I usually end up dating people that are more like opposite of me. So I'm usually the tough cookie, but it can be a lot,
Give me
you
a
know.
lot.
And you have to be very sure of yourself. It's important that you are confident
Hmm.
in who you are and confident in what it is that you do. For a person like me, I've only done music my whole life. I've never worked a job in any other field.
All right, ain't mad at that.
I'm not mad at
No,
it.
that's a good. No, I mean, Mazel Tov to you. I think that's a very good thing.
Thank you.
I think it's a great thing only because, I commend and tip my hat to anybody who is making a living and they found a career doing something they love to do,
Yeah,
something they feel like they were put on this earth to do. Many people, many of us, we can find success working jobs that just jobs that pay the bills.
that pay the
You
bills.
know,
That's it.
got to pay the bill.
And that's important too. That's also another factor. There's, like I said, there are so many factors
Hmm.
that we could talk about. But like for a person like me, I've only known music, and so for the most part, most of the people that I date are either going to be in music or in some form of entertainment.
Hmm.
Um, and
That was
so
actually going to be my next question. I was going to ask you. Um, we're used to seeing our favorite rap artists and hip hop artists, and just we're used to seeing celebrities date other celebrities.
yeah,
And I was going to ask, is it always by design, or is it because I used to think that they're just always in the same network, so naturally they're going to date other celebrities. But do you think that is by design because maybe they can be more understanding of your schedule?
that
Versus
definitely
someone
plays a
who's
role.
not? Hmm?
That definitely can play a role.
Mhm.
Because a lot of people think that they can understand, this is what you do, I support it. And especially if he's making good money, a lot of people feel like I can, but a lot of times it could feel like a long distance relationship with somebody who lives
Right.
in the same city as you,
Right.
or even beyond that, a lot of a lot of creatives, a lot of times we're married to what we do.
Mm.
And so sometimes our spouses, our mates, people we're in a relationship with
They feel
may
like
not always be like number one on the priority list. And again, this is me speaking in general. That's not necessarily for me.
Mhm.
Me, if I'm in love, I'm gonna make time for you. That's just me. Um, but in general, a lot of times music or work, we're married to that, and
Yeah.
so it's not just about being understanding of the schedule, but it's also being understanding of the mindset. It's understanding the passion and what that really means, what that feels like, and being truly, truly okay with that.
Mhm.
And a lot of people feel like they can be, but that's not easy. you know
Right.
Not always being number one on the priority list of the person that you may love, and so it can get really tricky. It takes a lot of commitment and, like I said, security in yourself, especially because a lot of us work around people
Mhm.
who are talented, who are attractive, who all of these different things. And
That's a good point.
if you're not really secure in who you are, it's easy to get jealous, you know
So you know what, with that point, because again, we can, breakups happen all the time, divorces happen, infidelity happens. It can happen to anybody, regardless of their field. And of course, when you see celebrities, you see people in the music industry, it plays out in front of the entire world. Gossip and all kind of scandal. Um, but just like you said, I mean, would you do like you mentioned how if you are in certain industries, entertainment, you are around attractive people all the time. You're around attractive, talented people. You're around people who are attractive, talented, charismatic, the whole shebang. So, definitely if you're dating somebody, I can see it would require maybe a little bit more security,
yeah.
a little bit more, just self assurance versus, when you're dating someone who's in the industry versus dating a school teacher. And if in addition to school teachers or, dating, just a data analyst or something like that.
Right.
So, I mean, in that instance, I would ask, my next question would be, do you find that maybe, you know, breakups or divorces are more prevalent in the music industry?
In today's time, i
Mm.
think i think breakups and divorces are just out of control, period.
I agree. No, I
i,
agree.
I think that people are, we ain't got it like people used to have it.
Mhm.
I feel like people are innately selfish, and I think that most of us enter into relationships for selfish reasons. And I think that regardless of the industry or those types of things, it's just out of control. Because at the end of the day, regardless of the industry that a person works in, their choices are still their own.
Right.
No job forces you to make certain decisions. Now if
Mhm.
you can't withstand, time being taken away and those types of things, and it can get really, really, really tricky. Um, but if you're in a relationship with a person, that's where understanding comes into play. And it's really
Okay.
difficult to be with a person that you don't understand. Um,
Mm.
so, do I think it could be more prevalent? Maybe a little bit.
Well,
Um,
yeah, I asked that because a long time ago in the Ringside group, shout out to everybody in the Ringside community.
hey,
Hey, I remember some while ago, I know I posted an article about certain job fields that had the highest divorce rates. I don't remember all the jobs. I do remember being a police officer was like at the very top. Like being a police officer, one of those professions that come with a high divorce rate.
I
Uh,
can see that.
yeah, yeah, me too. I can definitely see that. Um, and that was the reason why I was asking because with that position, I can understand the stress that comes with that position and how that can bleed over into the home life. But the reason I was asking you, that question because, like you said, you mentioned the factors of, the person you're with having to be very secure, not only with the fact that you're around some attractive people
Yeah.
on a almost regular basis. But the other sense is if you're someone who is truly committed to your craft of being a singer, rapper, composer, whatever the case may be, finding someone who has that disposition where they understand, like, look, they may not be number one every day.
Yeah.
They may not be, just their needs and their wants may not take priority or be, at the top of the to-do list with this person because I mean, let's be honest. How many times have we heard on a rap song or hip hop song where rappers say, "Look, I'm married to the street," or "I'm married to this rap shit,"
Mm.
and it makes you stop and wonder, like, okay, to truly be successful and be committed, would an artist have to devote more energy into their craft than they do their relationship or their marriage?
Mm, I think the energy should be very, very carefully dispersed.
Mm,
And I think that, so from our side of things, because I've been talking about, if you're dating somebody in the music industry, but I think it's very important for us to make sure that when we do enter into relationships, that we're very intentional about those relationships. We're very intentional about making time, scheduling and planning the time, to make sure that the people we love, and really this isn't just limited to dating relationships or marriage even, but just for family in general,
hmm
making sure that we allot time for the people that we care about in general. And I think that's been one thing that's been difficult for me, especially as so much of my family is like getting older. People aren't as healthy as they used to be.
Makes sense.
You're missing out on special occasions. You're wanting to be there for people when they need you, and you feel like you can't do all of the things. And so that's really, really, really hard.
hmm
Um, and a lot of times, even when I am at home, I'm extremely tired. And so that can be really, really difficult. Like I think about like my grandparents and stuff like that. Like I don't. A lot of times I am home, but
hmm
I'm not free. Because I also run my business and do everything, from home a lot of times when I'm not traveling. So it's just, I think it's difficult in general. And I think, if you ever do get into a relationship with a person, um, that does work in any creative field, really, um, pay attention to those types of things. Like it's important to pay attention to how intentional they are about you,
hmm
and showing you how valued you are. That way, when they go out on the road, and when they're off doing these tours and whatever else, you feel totally secure at home because you
hmm
know what you're getting, and
Right.
no person should ever be left at home questioning, you
Yeah.
know,
Because imagination is a motherfucker.
yes, it is.
Yeah. No,
So,
so I was actually, that's a great point. I'm glad you said that because um, I do think that's important because with something like that, with that much time and space being placed between you and a significant other or you and a spouse, I can definitely understand. That's when their imagination, if they're not in a good place mentally, if they're not secure, if they're feeling inadequate, when that imagination kick in, between the imagination and people in their ear and social media, so on and so forth, what can the artist who, has to go on the road and has a tour, what are some steps or some things they can do to make someone feel secure, make them feel like, look, yes, I'm going from different city to city, but you got nothing to worry about. What are some things they can do to kind of calm that person's spirit and ease their mind and let them know that the relationship or the marriage is safe and secure?
I think it's really important to, well, one, know the person that you're with, right? So that you can essentially speak their love language, whatever that might be.
Mm,
Um, so if they're the type of person that, and I think everybody's going to need time, whether that's your love language or not.
mm-hmm.
We're going to need time,
So need some
and
quality time.
exactly. So it's really important that, you make time for that person,
Mm-hmm.
especially when you see that you can, or maybe even shifting some things around in the schedule, because there may be flexibility sometimes, maybe shifting things around in the schedule to show them, you are still the priority or my priority. Everything doesn't come before you. This is just how I make my living. This is something that I have to do, and this is something that I'm passionate about, but I'm also passionate about you.
Mm-hmm.
So I think it's really important to find those pockets to make time, and in that time that you make, whatever other love language it is that they may speak, you speak that.
All right.
If they are the type of person that needs gifts, that doesn't necessarily mean go buy them a car. It could mean, you see a rose in the grocery store and you just get it, or their favorite piece of candy, or something simple.
You know what? Shout out to Ringside for teaching me that, because the group taught me that. Was it either this year or last year? Maybe I forgot when, but it was. I always thought that was always in my mind when you hear women say that my love language is gifts. Because I always thought that, my mindset, I always thought, okay, so you want like jewelry, you want money, you want a Birkin bag. But someone broke it down in the group. Someone was like, look, gifts could be going to the store, like going to Publix and Kroger and seeing their favorite bag of chips, or seeing a cook. They love chocolate. You like chips?
I like to eat, so I like snacks.
Okay.
My love language is not gifts at all, but if it's about the thought behind what you do for that person. It's I know what they like, and so when I see that, if I'm just out and about and I see that little thing that they like, I'm going to bring it home to them. That it's not I spent money on you. It's I thought of you when you weren't around.
I like that.
And this is the evidence of that.
I really like that. No, and again, when people say they don't learn anything from one side, I'm like, well, I learned plenty. I learned that, and I was like, that makes so much. I'm naturally a pragmatic person, so when someone, and God, I really wish I could remember who said it, because I really want to give them the credit. But I'm like, you know what? That makes so much sense, because I'm not. For me, I will admit I'm not the most romantic person, but I am a thoughtful person.
Okay.
So I am the type, if I go make a run an errand to CVS and you like gummy bears, I'm like, oh, she like gummy bears, I'll bring her some gummy bears. Or I bring her a Pepsi. I'm like, I don't know why she likes Pepsi over Coke, but I'll bring her Pepsi.
It don't even matter, because that's what she likes, right?
Like, right. I'm like, look, she like Pepsi. Little things like that I've done in the past, and I didn't realize that constituted as gifts or a love. I'm like, you know what? That makes so much sense. So shout out to Ringside. If nobody else learned anything, I'm learning some things.
Yeah.
Big time. So that makes so much sense.
Yeah, and there are other love languages. I'm gonna just shout them out right quick for anybody who's lost in what we're talking about. So there's quality time, which we talked about. There's receiving gifts, which we talked about. I'm super big on love languages. Anyway, so there's acts of service, which is my primary love language. And acts of service refers to pretty much things that takes the load off of a person. So like, say you have a really busy person, or your wife is also a mother, right? And so she has to do a lot for the kids. She has to do a lot getting them dressed and ready for school, making dinner, making lunch, breakfast, whatever, and doing laundry, maybe cleaning the house while you're doing, working or whatever. Like, an act of service for her would be you coming home and you changing the baby's diaper, or you doing the dishes, or you doing the laundry instead of her.
Well, look, I have no problem cooking, and I was raised on Tilex and Pine Sol. So
I love it.
I get that from my mom. I don't like a dirty place.
Yeah.
I'm not adverse to cleaning out a bathtub or a toilet or putting the dishes up, because I like a clean place.
Yeah.
And plus, again, Ringside, this is for you. The ladies of Ringside have taught me how sexy they think it is to come home to a clean house. Or like you said, taking the burden off a woman to where now she sees that she doesn't have to plan the meal. She doesn't have to do the dishes. She doesn't have to clean up. So if that means, babe, look, you had a long day, you tired, your job right now is to go park your butt on the couch. Here's the remote. Yep. I got dinner cooking. I'll bring you a plate, bring you a beverage, just chill out.
Yep, that's it. And really, it's the thought that goes in that too. The fact that you want to share the load or take the burden off of that person. So that's me all day. And I think it's because I'm doing a lot. I do a lot of things. So I'm tired, like I said, a lot of times, and there are things that need to get done, but a lot of times I'm just trying to do all of the things on the priority list, and it's difficult to get to all of those things. The last two things are physical touch. Physical touch is, a lot of people equate that to like sex. And for men, a lot of times it kind of means that, but that's not really what it's about. Um, it more so refers to just touch in general, wanting to feel the closeness or the touch of
I can
that,
see that.
you
I can.
know.
Well, yeah. I mean, I can see how for some people. I'm not saying me. I'm not saying me. I can see how some people would equate it to sex, but for me, yeah, sex. But also, I like when it's my woman and it's woman I love. I'm like I like to be just I'm like you can molest me. I'm like yeah. I'm like look. That's what I'm here for. I feel like look, you're my woman. I'm your man. Look, you can molest me. You can, it turns me on. If I'm with a woman, I will tell her, I will give her access. Like, smack me on the butt sometimes. If I walk by and I'm looking good, smelling good, and my ass, if you see my ass, just smack it. That makes me feel good about myself. I love when my woman objectify. I want a woman that will objectify me.
Oh my
That,
God.
that makes me.
I don't, this is taking a turn. Okay, so here's the test.
That's
You,
my
you,
test.
you're
That's
going to
my.
get me in trouble with a few people because I got a few different audiences. Anyway,
That's what I do.
it's him, y'all. It's not me.
It's all me. It's all me, everybody.
All right. But here's the test, right? Do you still want to be touched by that person if it's not going to lead to sex? Right. So there's the test. And a lot of people feel like, physical touch is my love language because I like sex. No. Like, is that still the thing that you want most if it won't go there? And so that's the test in that.
Okay.
So there's that. And the last one is words of affirmation. And so your person could be a person that needs to, and I'll say this, most men's love languages are between, you can have a primary and a secondary. Most men gravitate toward words of affirmation and physical touch. So I've always believed that men, so I believe that men were created in God's image, right? Which means that, and for me, that means that they also like to be praised. When I say praised, not like worshipped, but complimented.
I like to be complimented.
Right. We all do, but to a certain degree, I think it's more important to men to say that I appreciate, what you did, or, when you took the trash out, or the fact that you made dinner tonight and I didn't have to. I appreciate that. Thank you. You look amazing today, right? Like whatever it is, men like to.
You look amazing as well too.
Thank you so much. Okay. But men like to be praised. And honestly, I feel like if more women just accepted that instead of kind of kicking against it, because a lot of times we feel like he don't deserve no compliment,
I'm like, come on. Well, I mean, I think that for me in general, with anything, positive reinforcement, if I do something, you tell me good job, it makes me want to do it again.
Do it more, exactly.
It makes me want to keep doing it. Or, you tell me good job. If I know you appreciate it, then I feel good doing it for you. Because as a man, I certainly know what it's like to run and hold the door before a woman and she not say thank you.
Anything.
Just walk through it. I'm just like, I'm gonna still do it again, but it will feel good to hear thank you.
Exactly.
Not when you say thank you, I'm like, you're welcome.
Yeah.
You're so welcome.
I believe that the way we speak, especially as women, if we could, and that's one thing I've really been learning, I would say, over the last year or so. I always knew that. I've always heard it. I've always been taught. But the way we speak to our men can really change relationships.
It can change the trajectory of a lot of things, just the way you speak to us. And the same thing for men, the way you speak to your woman as well.
Absolutely. I'm not, now listen, I'm a woman. I'm not leaving us out, okay? I'm just, putting a couple of you on some free game. You know what I'm saying?
That's what I'm talking about. Yo, y'all get some game on this show today. Ringside, YouTube, everybody, the world, you're welcome.
Yeah. And as I'm learning it, it's something that I practice it in general. And so I know that it works. you know. And when I say I practice it in general, if you struggle with, because some of us struggle with complimenting people, we feel like I don't want their head to get big, you know, I don't want them to get cocky, I don't want, you know, if
Yeah.
my man is cocky because of the way that I have built him up or lifted him up, I'm totally okay with that. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, I think that I've had that issue before with women, not necessarily any woman I've been in a relationship with, but I know the feeling of there are certain women I don't want to compliment because I'm like, she's so busy complimenting herself, or she's so busy being vain. I'm like, I don't want to, because that fear, even when you see an attractive, I love to compliment a woman who's already humble, a woman who's already, had her head in the sky. I'm like, I don't want to gas her head up even more, you know. So I know I've definitely struggled with that, but you're right. If you're my woman, I want to tell you, like, babe, you're beautiful. You're
Yeah.
pretty today. You're smart. You did a great job. Um,
And I think we have to realize we have to build ourselves up. We have to speak to ourselves. You know, you got to look
mhm,
at yourself in the mirror and like what you see, you know, and affirm yourself. But um, as confident as a person may be, as attractive as they
mhm,
may be, first of all, you don't ever want anybody else in the rest of the world to compliment your person more than you compliment them, you know.
mhm.
And there is
Hmm.
nothing that
Say
means
that
more.
again. Say
There's
that.
there's nothing that means more than that love and that affirmation coming from the person that you actually love. There is nothing in the world like that, you know. So we can't take on the mindset, well, I don't want to compliment this. And sometimes he may need a compliment or two in the area where you feel like he doesn't deserve it today. You
Mm,
know, maybe he already feels, you know, inadequate. Maybe things are not going well on the job. And I'm speaking again from the perspective of a woman, because that's my side, you know, but
mhm.
this absolutely goes both ways.
Oh, definitely.
But you know, maybe he's already kind of been beaten up that day and he already kind of feels down on himself. You
Mhm.
know, the last thing he needs is you to feel like, well, he didn't do this right, or he ain't getting this right, or he ain't getting the money I need him to get. And so, you know, I'm not gonna build him up and he's not doing what I need him to do right now. You know what I'm
Well, no,
saying?
he needs you to build him up. Needs.
That's what gets him to the place that you want him to be, you
Right.
know. But that takes a lot of humility, and so sometimes that can be really difficult. It's like fighting yourself, like, am I lying because I really don't feel like he's
Mhm.
that great right now, you know, because I've been there too. um so it's really about what you set your mind for. um
Mhm.
and going back to being a creative, being,
Mhm.
you know, in the music industry, um that can be really tricky too, because like I said, for me, pretty much all of the people that I've ever like even entertained or just talked to or had conversations with, those guys are creatives. They're entertainers in some way, even outside of music. Um, and so what we do can be really finicky sometimes. It's
Mhm.
not all, you know, your next job is not always guaranteed, you know, and so choosing to work in a field like this, like,
It can be unpredictable.
it's extreme. Oh, okay. So we're I guess on the edge of COVID now, but our world's completely shut down.
Yeah.
None
Yeah.
of, like, nobody was working the way that we were. Not no one. You know, eventually we started to figure it out. You know,
Hmm.
but our world's shut down.
COVID turned a lot of worlds upside down, big time.
But I mean,
Big
like, we
time.
didn't
Yeah.
even, and I was having a conversation the other day um with a musical director friend of mine, and he was saying, you know, people were saying, you know, why don't you just go get a job at the store, you know, just go, you know. It's I get it, and I'm all for, let me tell you something, if you need to go get yourself a regular job or 9 to 5, please do. I am a total fan and advocate of you taking care of your responsibilities.
Absolutely.
But for us, that can be very, very difficult, especially if you are like a touring musician and you make, you know, really decent money.
Mm-hmm.
Think of it this way, okay? When you purchased your house, you purchased it based on the income that you had,
Yes.
right? And a lot of times we can make in a week what it might take somebody else 3 weeks to make, or maybe a month. It just depends on the situation, right?
I need to date a creative.
And
Uh,
so, well, no, we ain't all the same. So, because a lot of creators are starving and struggling, and just trying to figure it out.
no.
But you want to live, you know, by your passions. You don't want to. Sometimes you don't want to work in corporate America. You might make great money, but you're depressed. And
Oh
so,
no, trust me. No, that's one of the reasons I do Ringside. Trust
yeah,
me. That's the reason why I said earlier in the show, I tip my hat to not only creators but anybody who's doing something that they love,
yeah,
because so many of us are simply just paying the bills. We're existing. We're not living.
yeah,
Um, and that's the reason why, even with a lot of people, may not understand my passion for Ringside. It's like, if I could, I want Ringside to be my full time gig because I have more passion for that than I do as far as my day job. My day job pays me very well, but it's not anything I think about or dream about at night. It's just, I do it because that's what my educational background is. So,
right,
with you, the fact that this is all singing, this is your passion. This is, what you feel enriched by, you feel fulfilled. And so, with COVID coming around, and turning the business, upside down, I'm pretty sure you had a lot of people out there trying to figure out, okay, what should I do now?
yeah,
And then having to deal with that struggle, like, okay, maybe I do need to go drive for Uber right now to make
right,
ends meet. Or
absolutely,
so I know there are a lot of difficult decisions that had to be made
yeah,
for people in your genre.
yeah, absolutely. I mean, this has been crazy, right?
Hmm.
Crazy, crazy, crazy for all of us.
Hmm.
And for some of us, it pushed us to learn how to do more things and to shift the way that we work. That was definitely my case. But some people weren't able to do that, to just shift the way that they were working. Because a lot of us depend on the phone to ring, week after week or month after month, or things like that. So it's been really, really difficult. But I brought that up
Hmm.
to say that if you are with the creative, like I said, things aren't always so secure and guaranteed, even financially.
Hmm.
And you have to take that into consideration. Is that something that you're willing to take on? And can you take that on without tearing them down if they're having a slow period, or
Right.
if they have a couple of months where the phone is not ringing so frequently? Because a lot of times that's how it happens for us. We could be working really hard for 6 months, right? And then you have like 2 or 3 months where it's like the phone is not ringing, right?
Like nothing going on.
No, just dry. Okay. So it's like, like I said, there's so many factors, and for us, it's knowing how to save money. So when those
Mhm.
times come, or how to invest so that, when those times may come, we're secure,
Those rainy days.
that's it,
Uh,
and you could say that it's the same for any other person in any other field, but it is a
no,
little bit
absolutely.
different when what you do is solely dependent on your creativity.
Mhm.
It's a little bit different.
Well, I want to bring up, this is my last question now, and I'll let you go.
Mhm.
Um, we talked about love languages, and you mentioned words of affirmation. And so, with dating or being married to an artist or creative, and sometimes you're only as good as your last song or your last whatever, whatever, and you see them going through a lull where the phone isn't ringing, they're not getting as many gigs. So I could see in that instance where having a partner to let you know, like, look, it's going to be okay. You can do it. You're smart. You're talented. You can go out there and you can write another hit.
Yeah.
You can go out there. You can find another gig. So I could see in during those insecure times or unpredictable times, having someone who is that cheerleader in
Yes.
your ear, letting you know, like, look, you got this. Don't give up hope. You're too
Yeah.
smart. You're too pretty. You're too, you're too great of a person. You're not going to be defined by this short period in your life. I can see how that would be like a game changer
It
in
is.
that instance. I mean, that's a good thing for anybody, regardless of what field you're in. But, we're talking about the music industry tonight. I can understand how an artist, as a spouse or a partner, there will be those times where they really are depending on you to boost them up and build them up because maybe they didn't get the call back. Maybe they didn't secure a gig, or maybe they lost it to another artist, that wasn't good at them or something like
Yep.
that. So I can, I can definitely see how that applies because yeah, it comes with its peaks and valleys.
Yeah. It can be tough. And I've been on both sides of that. I've even been in a relationship where, I could have done more of the building. I could have done more of the encouraging and things like that. So I've been on that side of it too, where, they needed that from me, and I guess I tried or did it to the best of my ability. But you live and learn.
Hmm.
So I see just the importance of really being able to build
Hmm.
your person up. And even if there are people that, outside of relationships, dating and marriage and stuff, if you're connected to somebody that's a creative or that just has a passion for anything, and you're in a place where you can support them, or build them up, or tell them they're doing a great job, or sharing their work, sharing their art, sharing their products, their business, whatever, or just telling them, hey, like, this is really good,
Hmm.
whatever. Do that. That can go so much farther than we realize a lot
Yeah.
of times. And like I said, I really feel like men really, and women, okay, are made in the image of God, and he likes praise. And so we all need to be praised or
Right.
uplifted, at some point in some kind of way. So yeah, I just think you have to get out of that mindset of what I mentioned, I think first, which is selfishness. And I
Mm.
think a lot of us go into relationships a lot of times for what a person can offer us. A lot of times, if I might ask you, or I might ask, especially another woman, why do you want to be in a relationship? Like, why do you want love so bad? Why do you want to be in love? A lot of times our answer is going to be, I just want somebody to love me and to take care of me and to hold me and to make me feel yada yada yada.
Hmm.
It's about what you want to feel. Hardly ever does a person say, I want to be in a relationship because I have this and this to give, you know because I have understanding to give, because I've developed this and I want to share that. Well, a lot of people might say they want to share what they
Hmm.
have and what they do with another person. But what if what it is that you do, you know maybe they want something different, so you have in your mind, well, I have this and this, and I want to share it with them. Or I have money, and I've created a great life for myself, and I want to
You
share
want to
that
share it
with
with
them.
someone. Yeah.
Yeah, but
It's the whole, success means nothing without someone to share it with, or
and I feel like that's very valid. But on the other hand, make sure that you're not just sharing that success. You know what I mean? Because, like, for a person like me, um I do feel like I have a great life. I feel like at least I have a life that I enjoy.
Mhm.
I'm okay, I'm living very comfortably. I ain't balling yet. But
Yeah, one day you will. And when you ball, this interview is going to be worth platinum. This is going to, yes, that is the
that's
whole
it.
point. I'm like, okay, one day when you get your Billboard Music Award, and that's when this video gonna go viral.
I
So
love it.
I'm just saying, from your lips to God's ears.
I receive it. I receive it all.
Yes, all that melodies from heaven.
That, that is funny. But I don't know what I was talking about. But anyway, um it's just really important that we don't go in with selfish intentions. I was saying that to say, like, if you're with a person like me, I'm not really into, like, money. You know what I'm saying? Like, I don't need
You don't
A
need that.
person's
You don't need a Birkin bag.
no, I'm so not into stuff. But
Are you
no,
single? Are you available? Oh my God.
listen, I'm not. I've just never cared about stuff. I've always cared more about relationships, and that's a whole nother type of conversation for another day. But I grew up an only child, right? And
Oh,
so
okay.
it was easy for me to have stuff. You know, I was the only child. I was the only grandchild on one side. I was the oldest grandchild on another side.
Mm,
It was never an issue having stuff. I didn't have anybody to share the stuff with, like we're talking about. So for me, I've never been into stuff because I felt lonely.
mm,
And so, like, even now, like, for me, the companionship will always mean more the being able to sit in a room with you and either have great conversation or not say anything at all and still be okay. So
mm.
for me, it's just that, can I speak your love language well? Can you speak mine? Do you understand me and where I'm coming from? Or do I have to explain everything to you? Like, it's the ease of love and um something that's right.
Mm-hmm.
So for me, um I was just talking about, us wanting to share certain things. It's just important that you and the person that you're with are compatible and are on the same page, and
That's
make sure
important.
that they want to
Yeah,
receive what it is that you are trying to share. Um,
like-minded.
but you can't be selfish. You can't feel like, well, oh, this is what I want a person to do for me, or I want a wife because I need somebody at home to take care of the house and to
I'm
cook
just
and
gonna
clean
clean
for
my
me.
dirty drawers.
Like, that's not, like, is that what she want? Like, I want a husband so I can cook and clean and like, okay, if that's what she wants and that's what you want for her,
Yes.
go for it. A match made in heaven. But
No,
you
no, that it makes a lot. What did JFK say? Ask not what your country can do for you, but what you can do for your country.
hmm
So
yeah.
similar. So let's just let's remix that for relationships or finding someone. And
Yeah.
that, and you did make up a great point because a lot of people, I think, subconsciously do that. They, I want someone because I want this.
Yeah.
I need this. I've probably done that before, just not even thinking about it. Like, look, I want someone because I want companionship or I
Yeah.
want a
Me
best
too.
friend. I want someone to laugh at my dumb jokes.
Yep.
And so, but how many of us actually stop and think, look, I want companionship because I want a woman that I can breathe life into. I can, nurture her business and nurture her interests, be her best friend, be the listening ear she needs at the end of a long day, something like that. I don't, how many of us actually take the time to do that? So this has definitely been instructive. I didn't think about it until now. Um, so again, I'm learning.
I know, and I know we started talking about music and dating and things, but I mean, it's all relative. At the end of the day, whatever field you're in, but especially this one,
Hmm.
you just have to be extremely just intentional about how you love, the person that you love, and really paying attention, being attentive to them and to their needs. And years and years and years ago, I'm a church kid, y'all. So y'all just anyway.
Okay, no
Years
wrong.
and years ago, our senior pastor used to say, and he was really big on teaching like marriage,
Hmm.
and he was saying how um, the goal should be for you and your spouse to practice out loving one another. And if you spend that time really trying to outlove the other person, then you really can't go wrong. Like, if your goal is to pay attention to them, if the goal is to listen to them and really understand them and learn their love language and speak it, even if it's not your first language. A lot of times we might end up in relationships with people, we got to learn how to speak a whole nother language that we ain't accustomed to speaking. It's
Sure.
easy for me now to give words of affirmation, but if their love language is receiving gifts, I am not good at that.
I think I'm good at that. I'm good at that only because, like I said, I may not be the most romantic person, but I'm very thoughtful.
Yeah.
I'm extremely like, again, if I know your shirt size or if I know your clothes size or what foods you like or whatever, if I'm out and I see it, I will grab it because I'm like, hey, I saw this. You said you needed a pair of whatever. Here you go.
Yeah.
Or, hey, babe, look, your car is looking kind of dirty. Well, no, that's kind of an act of service. No,
It is, but also it's the gift because you gonna pay for it to get washed.
Oh, I was going to actually do it, but okay, no, yeah. I,
That's even better. I mean, now that is the life that I come from, but I understand that everybody is not accustomed to actually doing manual labor. So
I know. I
however.
grew up watching. I had to wash cars, and yeah, it wasn't until I became an adult and I moved into places where they have, you know, there are no car cares. I'm like, okay, Dad, I gotta
Yeah.
pay someone else. So no, I sometimes you just have to go out there in the hot summer heat, take your shirt off, and just be a thirst trap and wash the cars. So
Okay. That's ain't nothing wrong with that. Okay.
I know, right?
That's
Okay.
that's fine.
Well, I think that's a great place to wrap up. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
This again, when you get that billboard, you get that award, I want you to think about this guy, think about this face,
I
and
got
think
you.
about this interview.
I got you.
So before we cut out, any parting words to all the viewers, all your fans, the Music Academy, Atlanta, the world, any final thoughts?
I just love everybody. I think the only thing that I would really say is to love intentionally, which requires a lot of times us stepping outside of ourselves.
Hmm.
It requires us to step outside of what we want to do, how we want. Learn how other people need to be loved and love them that way. So get out of your own mind and head and always doing things the way that you want to do them. Because when you're trying to love another person, it's not about what you want for them, you know. And I think the other thing I'm going to say is I feel like another top thing that I've learned over the last couple of years is to really let the person that you're with be themselves.
Mm.
You know,
That's important.
don't go in with the mindset that you can change them. You know,
Mm.
if you
Yeah.
don't see
Don't do
yourself,
that.
if you don't see yourself being able to deal with who they are, and especially if you're looking for marriage for the rest of your lives, you
Mm.
know, because sometimes we feel like oh, that'll change once we get married, or that'll shift a little bit. No, if anything, it may get worse. Okay, so
You got that right.
all of those little problems become magnified, times 10, and so it's like, do you love this person enough to accept them for all that they are without them having to change or become whatever it is that you want them to
Mhm.
be? And you get to decide that. You get to decide, is this something that I want? Is this something that I can deal with, their downfalls, their shortcomings, the good, bad, the ugly stuff? Because we all got ugly stuff, you
We
know.
do.
And
We
so
do.
you have to decide, do I want to deal with this person's ugly stuff? And I promise you, if you don't want to deal with their ugly stuff, you got to deal with somebody's ugly stuff if you want to be in a relationship.
You gotta deal
But
with no matter who you with, you gotta deal with someone dirty draws.
that's it. Okay. So you get to decide, is this the person that I want to deal with the ugly stuff with? And so, I think it boils down to just not just thinking about yourself, but always considering the other person, not just who they are, but what they need to be, and what it is that they desire out of life. So, don't be selfish. That's it.
Okay. Well, I ain't mad at that. I think that's a great way to end it. Everybody, this has been the amazing, the epic, intrepid Jazmine Crumbley. You will see her again on somebody's stage, on some award show very soon. So I'm just saying, remember this interview, pass it around. Make sure if you're out there, if you're on Facebook, find the Facebook community. Just type, or find the Ringside community. Just type in Ringside LLC. Request to join either myself or one of the admins will let you in. Make sure you follow this YouTube channel, subscribe, like, share, do the whole shebang bang. And with that, we out. Stay put. We about to close this thing out right now.